The Montana Grizzlies head to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to take on the Duquesne Dukes. It's going to be a really good matchup. Steve, I know this is a team that you follow as being someone from the Pittsburgh area. It's going to be a good matchup. Always fun to watch Atlantic 10 basketball here. We are, I would say, the official, unofficial Atlantic 10 fun side here for Slasher. We love Atlantic 10 basketball. That's just something that we really appreciate. But Duquesne taking on Montana in this one should be a fun matchup, Steve.
Yeah, Duquesne has been through so much the last 2 years. I mean, in the COVID year, they were just devastated. And then for the most part, they've been playing in small local college gymnasiums while their UPMC field house was being built, just off campus there. So 3 full years ago, they had 21 wins. And the year before that, it was 19 wins and then 16 wins. The last 2 years have been really ugly. And that is caused partially by injury, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But really, I think it was caused by that uncertainty and players being disgruntled about never really having a home game and never knowing what was going on. There's been a lot of transfers out. There were 10 transfers out. There's 10 transfers coming in this year. But they lost 50 games last year in the front court to injuries. So there were nights that Duquesne, their front line was probably smaller than many premier high school programs here in the local area. So Duquesne can only get better this year. And Dubron, he's a smart coach. He's a stickler for details. He wants to play an aggressive style. He wants his players to play defense. He wants them to give an effort every minute on the court. That might rub some players the wrong way, but if you're bringing in 10 transfers, then, you have some hope going on there. And their front court is going to be better, not only because they're healthy, but they have Gunn. They have a kid that came in from TCU last year, Kevin Easley, that led the team not only in games played, but he was among the lead leaders in scoring and rebounding. They transferred in a kid from Miami of Ohio, Day Grant, and that's Duke's home, if you will. That's where he made a name for himself in the MAC. They've had a lot of success bringing MAC players in. So let's see how this Duquesne team gels bit by bit throughout the pre-A10 schedule. They're taking on a Big Sky team in Montana. Montana's not at the top of the Big Sky in basketball, but they traditionally have some good programs. That's where Phil Jackson many moons ago played college basketball. But and the Big Sky Conference is underrated. It's always very competitive. You don't really have one dominant team. They just kind of sort of like in football, they just beat up on each other, and somebody has to survive the day. So it'll be an interesting game in that you don't get to see a whole lot of Big Sky basketball, most of you, especially on the East Coast. But Duquesne, if all of these transfers and the returning players can gel and they stay healthy, and they respond to the crowds in their new home court, it'll be interesting to see if they start inching their way into the middle of the pack in the A10, and that would really disrupt what we think is a preset status quo in the conference this year.
Yeah, wouldn't that be surprising if we saw Duquesne go anywhere other than, honestly, the basement? We have them second to last in our preseason prediction. We think they're going to find their way out of the bottom spot, but if they could find their way into a higher spot, maybe even the top 10 in the Atlantic 10, that's a winning season for Duquesne.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Montana should have a fun matchup in this one, too. Again, they're looking to start their season off strong. They have a good chance at doing some things in the Big Sky as well. This matchup's on ESPN Plus, 7 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday night.